Music makes me wet. It makes ladies wet too. Everywhere. So sexy. I love this music. You know, I've learned Spanish just to understand what they're saying. I mean, it sounds so sexy. It could be, I don't know, you could be asking her, can I deliver my groceries to you?
This one's called Miserable.
Miserable. Ooh.
She left him. She's miserable.
Oh, that's always the way. They're always leaving out. But it's the culture. Hey, welcome to the Chong and Chong show. Today we're going to explore the world of salsa and tango, if we get around to it. But salsa is very important to me because it's actually saved my life, or almost saved my life. Well, actually it did. It saved my life and my wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. Up until, I think it was around 95, I was ignorant. I was salsa ignorant. I had no idea what salsa was as a music. I knew it was what it was as a food, but I had no idea what it was as a music or a dance form. And so my wife, Shelby, who was also my comedy partner on stage, told me one day, she said, I'm taking salsa lessons. And I said, oh, that's great. She said, do you want to take them with me? And I said, no. You know, because I thought it was some sort of dumb ballroom dance thing. And so she says, okay. So she would go out and take salsa lessons. And she would look forward to these lessons, you know, and she would go out like in the evening. And not only go out without me, but she would wear these sexy little outfits, you know, little short skirts, and she'd get her hair all looking good, you know. And I said, where are you going? And she goes, oh, to my salsa lesson. And so I said, oh, okay, see you later. You know. And then she kept saying, do you want to come? I said, no. And so after a few lessons, she says, my teacher, Nestor, and I are, Nestor's doing a show. He wants me to be his partner.
Uh-oh.
And I said, oh, great. She says, well, you got to come to the show. And I said, yeah, I wouldn't miss that one. And so we went down to, I think it was a Bayshore Inn in Vancouver. In fact, I know it was. And it's a, you know, nice place. It was a ballroom there. And I get there, and there's a lot of businessmen and a lot of, you know, like straight-looking people in suits and ties and sitting around drinking. And then the announcement for the show came on, you know. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here is Nestor and his partner, Shelby.
Uh-huh.
And so the music started.
Was it a nightclub or was it a stage?
It was a nightclub. It was a nightclub, but it was more like they performed on the dance floor itself.
Okay.
And so everybody's sitting around the edge, including me. You know, I'm sitting there. And so first Nestor came out, you know, and this is the first time I met Nestor. He's a dark, good-looking Spanish guy, you know, and he's wearing a white fluffy shirt and.
You've had some experience with dark Spanish guys too.
Yeah. So
you know how
I didn't trust him at all. So Nestor came out first, and then Shelby appeared, and Shelby looked so ravishing, beautiful, and I'm sitting kind of in her eye line, you know. So I thought I'd get a little look at how am I doing, you know, look. But she didn't look at me. She looked right past me, and she looked right into Nestor's eyes, and then they looked at each other, and they approached each other, and then the music started, and Nestor grabbed her and flipped her around, and she fell into his arms, and then they started doing this. It looks like they're fucking on stage. It was so sexy, and they danced this whole number. I sat there literally with my mouth open. I'd never seen my wife look like that with anybody, with me for sure. Never.
So this music kind of made you.
Well, let me finish the story. She gave me her and Nestor were just dancing, and then at the end of the number, he turned her around and he flipped her upside down, and then her dress fell down, and you could see the beautiful legs and the little panties.
Oh, gross.
And then she flips it back up, and that was the end of the number. And then they came over to me. And, they got a big applause, and these guys were like cheering like crazy, they just saw some gorgeous lady in underwear.
Your wife.
And she come over to me and she goes, now she's looking at me for the first time. As if, oh, you're here. And she looked at me and says, so what do you think? And I heard my voice speak, but it wasn't my voice. It was like, oh, that was really nice. I enjoyed that a lot. I really enjoyed that. That was. I never knew that you went upside down and showed your panties to everybody. I didn't say that, but
were you holding back tears at that point?
Oh man, I was choking. I choked up, man. First of all, I had never seen her look at another guy ever like that, and then.
Not even at a basketball game?
I never looked at my wife looking at anybody. You know how you don't notice your wife, she's with you, and that's how you don't know what's going on. Well, that was me. Well, anyway, I said to myself, because I was a dancer. When I was a kid, I had a choice. I could go fight in the parking lot or go dance with girls. I always chose the girls. And so I knew how to dance. I knew how to Lindy Hop, jive, and a little bit of. In fact, I knew how to cha-cha. And so that night, I pulled Nestor aside, and he said, "Nice meeting you, Mr. Chong." Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. And I said, "Listen, you give lessons." He said, "Yes, I do." I said, "I'm going to learn." He said, "When do you want to start?" I said, "Tomorrow." He said, "Okay, come on by my place." And so I went by his place and I started learning salsa because I knew it was a dance. I knew it was a dance, but it was when you don't know how to dance salsa and your wife does. It's like someone cut your dick off.
Yeah,
I can imagine. You are just neutered. And so I made a vow I was going to learn how to dance, and it took me quite a while. And the first thing I did, Nestor had a cruise lined up, and so about a month later, well, after that night, and then Shelby kept going out dancing with Nestor. She kept taking lessons and going to clubs and then dancing in shows. And while in the meantime, Nestor's trying to show me how to dance.
So you're hanging out at home, and your lady's going to club.
She's going to club, a little short skirt on, and coming home late, very late, and half drunk sometimes. I met somebody. That's don't worry about it. They know I'm married. It was hell because she was going through a trip too. At the time, it was like. Change of life or some
menopause kind of thing.
Yeah. So I had that to cope with, and that's why she got into salsa. And so anyway, I ended up going on a cruise with Nestor, just by myself. And so I went on, and we cruised. All we did for the whole 3-4 days was dance salsa.
Right.
On the cruise. On the cruise. Yeah. We found these. Couple of young girls who would dance with anybody, but we found these young girls, and they wanted to learn salsa too. So then I just learned it. Now let's talk about salsa itself. It's a dance that originated in Cuba. It was originally called the mambo.
The mambo,
and it originated. Actually, it started.
I thought it started in Brazil.
The whole dance thing started in Africa.
Right.
And so these were African slave dances that were taught from Africa, including the mambo and the samba. Yeah, that's Brazilian, but that's Brazilian slaves, ex-slaves.
Right.
That started it. Mambo is a African word that means storytelling.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so they used to tell kids around the campfires. It was all a very vocal, verbal. It wasn't a written word culture.
Mm-hmm.
It was verbal, and so they would talk. You know, like first rap,
Yeah.
basically, and so then the mambo evolved. Well, so during Lucy, I Love Lucy, Ricky Ricardo, he was a mambo orchestra leader.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and so the mambos were big during the 20s, 30s, and then it was huge all over America and Canada, and then salsa. Tito Puente, and really,
Here's a little mambo.
yeah, this was the original. Well, that's this guy.
Perez Prado.
Put it. Yeah, this is more like a merengue. Yeah, you hear the African drums?
Oh yeah.
See, and so what it was, the slaves would get together, and the Spanish guys brought their horns and guitars, and
The dancing right here is kind of like Afro.
yeah, it's
African.
African dance. Yeah, and then the Africans brought their drums
Right.
and congas and all those sound, noise, rhythm instruments,
Right.
and then they would dance, and and it was a mating dance at first, you know, the tribal things, and that's how tango got involved too. Tango was a true mating dance. You know, those were teenagers African teenagers would they would dance with their feet,
Right.
tease each other with their feet. But the salsa, like I said, it originated with the. Don't go to tango yet. Salsa originated with the slaves, like you said, around the campfire.
Yeah.
That's how they started playing that music, and then it became mambo, and then eventually Tito Puente in New York, when they in a break playing mambo, he goes salsa, and from that time on, the dance was called salsa, you know, and it stuck. It stuck.
Oh, Tito, the percussionist.
Yeah. Tito Puente.
Tito Puente.
He said salsa.
Salsa.
Yeah. And so then after I learned how, I went on that cruise and danced. And the funny thing on the cruise, I brought a
Little Tito. Oh yeah, this is salsa right here.
yeah. See the beat? Get you to hear him?
Yeah.
Salsa.
So, at first, what's it like when you're trying to learn how to dance?
Well, first let me finish one story.
Right.
On the cruise, I brought a little pot with me. You know, I bring pot with me everywhere. And so we went down. We had to get on the cruise at Long Beach or San Pedro,
Yeah.
California. So we got on the boat, went on the cruise, danced for 3 days straight. Learned how to dance. I learned a little bit. It was tough, you know, because it's a coordination thing. You know?
Yeah.
And then after the cruise is finished, you know, we pull into the dock, you know, and I got my bag packed. It's just me, you know. So I'm like the first guy off the boat. All of a sudden, I look up. You got to go through customs, and that's when I realized I got a pipe and a little bag of dope in my bag.
And you're going to Mexico.
No, we're going through the American customs because we had been to Mexico.
Oh, you're going home.
We're coming home. We're getting off the boat.
Oh, yeah.
See, you get on the boat, there's no customs. You get
Right.
off the boat, all of a sudden you got
Right.
fucking customs.
Right.
And the lady's looking at me, and she's looking at my bag, and she says, "Can I see what's in the bag, please?" And I got the pipe and the thing, and there's a little side zipper in the front, right in the front. She was like resting her hand on it,
Mm-hmm.
And so I started giving her the, hey, I'm Tommy Chong. You know, Chong, movies. And she looked at me, oh, you are, aren't you? Oh, my goodness. And so, how long have you been away? And she opens up her zipper, looks in their clothes. And I said, well, you know, just when I was dancing salsa. You know how to dance salsa? Oh, it's the best dance in the world. Man, here, let me show you. I'm doing a little, literally, I'm doing a song and dance, you know. And she kept, with her hand on the zipper, she was touching the pot. She was touching the pipe. But she kind of looked through the rest of the stuff. And then she's, well, I'm glad you learned how to learn something on this trip. And I took the bag and I said, thank you. And I left. And, man, and that's when I learned something about salsa, is that you really don't have to get stoned to get stoned.
Mm-hmm.
Salsa itself is a high.
Right.
I'm serious, man. I forgot I had pot.
Yeah.
And I'm not a guy that usually forgets he has pot,
Yeah.
because it usually comes somewhere in my daily routine.
Right.
You know, going to bed, or listening to music, going to a movie.
Mm-hmm.
There's some reason.
But you were in salsa mode.
I was high on salsa. I mean, morning, noon, and night.
Yeah.
I mean, the boat docked at.
Did you start getting good at that point, or did it click? Or?
I started getting. I started not hurting people. That's what happens with salsa. Because especially a guy and you got boots or shoes, right? You know, and you kick somebody, and you're trying to do a step, and you're supposed to do it because it's synchronated.
Right.
What's the word?
Synchronized.
Synchronized. You know, when the lady goes back, you go forward. When
Right.
you go back, she goes forward.
Right.
So I stopped kicking people on the cruise.
Right.
And then
did you ever fuck somebody up pretty good? Like,
oh yeah,
what was the worst?
oh, in clubs, because the girls have high heels and open-toed shoes.
Oh, so you stomp.
Oh, there's a few times that they went,
Oh.
they went whimping out like a dog, you know, been hit by. There's a few of those, and then sometimes you go to turn them and they're not ready to be turned. And if you're a bodybuilder like me, you know, you kind of force the issue.
So you're twisting your arm.
And so sometimes you dislocate your shoulder.
You jiu-jitsu them.
You dislocate.
Submitted them.
One guy is a karate guy. He turned around, he did a karate move, and he threw out an elbow or a fist or something, and caught Rochelle Robinson. This is a girl that used to dance. She was my partner. And she was learning too. He caught her right in the eye, man. Give her a big black eye. Yeah, they even called them. I think they called the paramedics. It was that serious. Oh no, that dance is dangerous, man.
What happened to you? Oh, salsa dancing. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Salsa.
No, they say, oh no, we've been. This is the third time we've been here tonight. Oh no, it can get dangerous because it's music and you get excited, and it's hot and you're turning and then you're learning new steps, you know. So I learned, and you can tell you're how well you're progressing by who will dance with you, right? Because there's a culture with tango and salsa that if a girl doesn't want to dance with you, she'll come up with some excuses. She'll say, "Oh, I need a rest."
Now, can the girls, like, is it like hip hop, where the girls can they go out and just dance alone, or do you need a partner with salsa?
Well, no, girls dance with each other in salsa. Yeah,
They can. And
they can.
They can kind of dance. They can kind of solo the whole song,
Especially
right?
if one is a dyke, you know.
Right.
Or
But what if they're not a lesbian?
No, they can dance. Yeah, they dance.
They just kind of dance. But guys can kind of dance alone too. But it's weird.
The guys don't dance with the guys in salsa.
No, but do they dance alone?
I used to.
Like you're kind of on the outskirts, just dancing. Because you
would.
kind of have to show your stuff a little bit.
No, not in a salsa dance. No,
Okay.
when you start doing that, you're a nerd that everybody ignores. You know.
Oh, really?
The thing you have to do with salsa, you got to be sober.
Yeah.
See, a lot of times, you know, there's a club in
Well, it's not about picking up chicks. It's really about dancing.
Oh, totally.
It's like-
but what happens when the tourists come, you know, for the first timers.
Right.
They're the dangerous ones because
Yeah.
what they do, they get drunk enough and go, oh, I'm going to try that.
Yeah, and then they get out there
They
and
get drunk and then they flail away and they hurt people.
Yeah.
You know, and women, they'll all they want to do is lift their legs and you know show their ass. You know, and the drunk ones, you know, and they'll try to do the tricks that other salsa dancers are doing, and they fall on their ass.
Did you see some people fall down hard?
Man,
Embarrassing.
oh,
The skirts all up.
you had to
Panties.
carry them off.
Oh God.
Yeah, but see, that's a good thing about salsa dancing. It's like ice skating.
Right.
You know, the real bad ones, they just get shoved to the side and out the door.